11th is the Belmont Stakes, the third leg of the Triple Crown. It's known as the Test of Champions or the Run for the Carnations. We're now going to take you to the press conference leading up to the big event where we had the opportunity to hear what trainers and owners had to say about their horses.
Doodnauth Shivmangal is a trainer that spends his whole year in New York and runs in the winter at Aqueduct, sort of our meat and potatoes meet. But he's also got a couple of horses to run in this race, and I'm not really sure if they'll both be running, but we have some footage of at least one or both of them to show before he comes up here.
It's full of scoundrels, and isn't he perfect? It's between those two. Isn't he perfect on the inside and full of scoundrels on the outside? Isn't he perfect with something left here? Isn't he perfect? Clear now by a length, and isn't he perfect? We'll do it. Full of scoundrels second, then Seattle.
In looking at the two horses, it could be argued that obviously these are long shots in the race, and you're aware of that, and we'll get to that. But Harlan of the two comes off of a very big win and beating a very promising Jimmy Jerkins horse. But more importantly, he's a horse with an enormous amount of early speed. And he's a horse that could have a say in the outcome, whether he's able to win the race or not, and that he could force Shackelford's hand earlier and perhaps help Barry and Animal Kingdom and really any other closer.
I wouldn't tell him to the TV. He could do both. Harlan's have the speed that where he could stay there and he could actually run that whole mile and a half. He bred to go long. He's by Harlan's Hello. But we have decided that we wanted to save him for a little more, and we have pined it out to do an overnight stakes. They had 5 horses. They did not choose the race. So we have nominated for 2 other races. We don't know what we're going to do for tonight. I will speak to DJ, my other cousin, my wife, and my sons, and most of the decision actually come from myself. But I would make the decision tonight where I'm going with either of them.
Now, isn't he perfect, ran the Preakness and finished 9th? What is different about the Belmont that you think can improve his performance?
Okay, if you look at Isn't He Perfect, the race that he runs with Uncle Mo, I thought that the jockey rode him a little bad. I don't want to make that. And I discussed with McGlory, who rode for me. He won for me, and also Johnny rode for me and won for me too. And it's a pleasure to be here with them today again. And when we look at that race down the stretch, I asked myself after the race, what do I do wrong? Do I breeze him the week before, make him tired? What I did. But looking over the race over and over, and I thought you overuse him from the first turn. I asked him to stay back a little bit. You asked him from the clubhouse turn. Then go on the other turn, he had him again into the lead. Then go back there. I said to him, listen, we are working here for a position for the Triple Crown, the Kentucky Derby. And why you did this? So he came back and he said to me, he's sorry. I asked him today. And when he ran the race in the mud, he does not deserve to be there. He is not a mud horse. The Preakness, I was very much surprised when we got there. Presently Perfect is one of a huge hell of a horse. And he's a very kind horse that the things he does in the morning. When we got to the Preakness there, my wife and myself, we got late. And when I got there the night, the groom fed him. He didn't eat not a thing. He didn't sleep. For the whole day, 2 days he was there. And I was kind of worried. I went back to the hotel with my daughter and my sons. We tried to get something to make him eat. He didn't eat. The morning, if you go now to Perfect Barn and you see I feed him in the morning, he would be heckling for food. And there he's not, he didn't do anything. And after I scoped him too after the race, he came back with a bunch of dirt in his face. And when we get to the infield for the first time, I didn't knew that I could have saddled him in the paddock. And when I saw him, I couldn't even run behind him to get to him. And I thought that he used himself, I wouldn't say nervousness, but he was really, really high himself. He always broke out in the infield. He sweat up. It wasn't perfect by no means.
So who do you think has learned more out of the experience? Isn't he perfect or you?
Me. I learned more from it too, and also him. And I think he would do, and I will tell you this. Perfect as a horse could be in the hackle for the first half a mile or so. And if you look at all his races, the race has been going 48, 47, and he was there in the entire time he ran. And I think this race would be perfect for him. He's a big leaping long horse. The big long turns would help him. And I think he will give account of himself.